Jays lose the last 2 games of a 4-game series against Seattle in Seattle by a combined 2 runs after losing in the 11th inning in the second game of the series. 3 games that the Blue Jays were right there and had a great opportunity to win, and instead they get swept in 4 games. After the Oakland series, where they were barely able to win 1 game against the cellar-dwelling A's, after losing the last 3 games against Tampa and Toronto, the Jays have gone 1-9 in their last 10 games. Very much in the same way that the team was finding ways to win in spite of its deficiencies. It was eking out wins, winning 1 and 2 run games. Now they're doing the opposite. Now they are finding ways to lose close games. I have recently highlighted the need for increased pitching depth throughout the organization, and I truly believe that is a pressing need. With a lot of the guys that you would have thought would be your pitching depth either out with significant injury or significant underperformance, you're left really with 3 guys at the Major League roster who can start for you, and 5 guys who you don't mind throwing out there from the bullpen. And you need more than 8 guys. But really, the scariest part of all this is the part of this team that was the easiest, most blasé, check mark, we got it, this team's going to do this thing real well, was the offense. This team was going to score runs. We knew they were. We saw them do it last year. The pedigree is there. The track record is there. These guys are going to hit. We've heard that all year. This team will hit. And in fact, after the 3rd game of this series, Charlie said, this team will hit. Well, we're coming up on game 90, Charlie. What the team will do is increasingly less important than what it has done. I tried to comfort myself with thoughts of the 2015 Jays team that was below 500 at the trade deadline, later in the season than we are now, and in a worse position than we are now, with fewer playoff spots available than there are now. So categorically a worse position. And it took a big expenditure of prospect capital, but the Blue Jays were able to bring in the pieces necessary to turn the whole season around. They went from below 500 at the trade deadline to winning 93 games and winning the division. And I think, oh yeah, there's always hope, right? There's always hope. But that team resembled last year's Blue Jays team, not this year's. Last year's Blue Jays team and the 2015 Blue Jays would crush teams 14-3, 16-5. And then lose the next game 2-1. So the run differential was huge. It was very clear they're a very, very talented team that just were having trouble getting it all together at the same time. This year's team is not that. This year's team, the offense has had maybe like a 20-game stretch, which included an 8-game winning streak, which is instructive. Maybe a 20-game stretch where the offense all seemed to be clicking at the same time. This offense seems to have the ability to all go cold at the same time, but not so much with the all getting hot at the same time. And hitting with runners in scoring position was not a problem, mostly for last year's Blue Jays team. Hitting late was a problem, but early in the game they had no problem hitting with runners in scoring position. And the 2015 team was the same. Hitting with runners in scoring position, Edwin, Jose, Colabello. Yeah, those guys could do that. They could do that all day. This year's team, we have almost 90 games of evidence to see what this year's team can do, and I'm not seeing it. Vladdy's had a step back. Bo has had a massive step back. Teoscar's had a step back. George Springer, he's an all-star. But it's not quite what we signed up for, not quite what we thought we were getting, right? Those are your top 4 hitters, by the way. Those are the guys who get more at-bats than anybody else, and all 4 of them are underperforming to some degree. I said in my last video that we are approaching a critical moment. We are approaching a critical time where you have to decide whether you want to try to save this season, make the playoffs, and make a push, or whether you're going to try to punt. And I made the case, I think, that I don't think the Blue Jays are planning on punting, and I don't think they can really sell that one. I think that would be a really tough pill to swallow. But losing 2 more games against a team that's right on your heels and tied you now for the last playoff spot. Baltimore's 2 games back. 3 more losses away from last place in the division. Can you imagine? I can imagine. I don't want to, but I can. 6 more games before the All-Star break. 2 against a really hot Philly team. That It looks like it's trouble. And then 4 against a weak Kansas City team that we couldn't quite put away last time. It's hard to be hopeful for anything in the midst of a 1-9 stretch. So all my emotions are with a grain of salt because I'm feeling the weight of the recent past, and maybe it's clouding my ability to see where the team really is. But I am increasingly skeptical that the answer to what ails this team is in the room. I increasingly believe, more than I have at any point, and I have throughout this season, that the answer has to come from outside the organization. The Blue Jays need help. They need big help. They need it now. Decision time, Ross. What is 2022 going to be? Is it going to be the year that you punted to hoard assets to maybe try to do it again next year with a much more expensive Vlad, with Teo on board or not on board, with an older George Springer, with the same question marks around your pitching staff that you have right now? Or do you find a way? Do you find a way to get what the team needs? A new starting pitcher who's of high quality. Lots and lots of relief pitching. It's a big ask. It's a big ask. It really is. But we need it. And if we can't get it, I guess now's the time to find that out. Sunshine and roses in Blue Jays land. We'll see you for the Philadelphia series, I guess. Take care till then.